Good evening. Welcome to the September 11th trustees meeting for the Village of Swanton. My name is Chris Leach. I'm filling in for Neil Spear, who's traveling the world on vacation and at his son's wedding in India, which I think is pretty cool. We do have an agenda this evening, and I'd like to begin the evening with, get everybody to stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I'll have a moment for reflection on the events of today. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And also, if we would take a moment of silence for the events of 22 years ago. It's an event we should never forget, and one of those events that I'm sure all of us remember where we were that day and where we heard it. It's just one of those things that's in our mind. But I also want us to remember not only those that passed away that day, but those who passed away since due to the consequences of that, those events, or those three events. Let's have a moment. Thank you. Agenda review, do we have any changes?
No, sir.
None?
I do.
Okay.
I had a wastewater allocation that came in today for Swan Valley. So I'd like to put that under,
Other business?
yeah, we'll do it under any other business.
Okay.
Do we need to be in water commissioners for
We
that?
do.
Do we wanna do everything that needs to be done under water commissioners at once?
So how about we do that, yeah, so we can,
Do that.
Let's hear
Number
this
6.
after we hear.
We'll do 6 and 6A.
Yep, perfect.
Makes sense. Yep. Okay. Very good. Also, this evening, we have a lady here representing the Small Business Association. Would you like to make your presentation early, and would you introduce yourself?
Yes. My name is Arlise Green. I'm a public affairs specialist with the Small Business Administration. And I'm coming out today to make the community aware of the disaster program that we have available for businesses. Franklin County is a continuous county. So they are eligible to apply for an economic injury disaster loan. And the reason that they're eligible is because the surrounding counties or towns may have been affected by the storms. So what it does, it causes a decrease in their cash flow. And it takes maybe up to a year before a business owner can realize that this has happened. So we're just encouraging businesses to go ahead and apply, because here we are again in hurricane season. And it's just one thing after another, and it's better to have it than to have one and then get it. So we are just out trying to put the word out. If you know businesses, encourage them to just check into it to see if it's something that will be beneficial for them. Again, a lot of business and nonprofit, let me not forget them because they're eligible as well, feel like they have to have physical damages, and that's not the case. The damages comes with the economic, and so they might not be making as much as they were a couple of months ago. So if you would get that word out, we would really appreciate it. And they can contact us at our 1-800 number, 1-800-659-2955, or they can go to disasterloans.gov and apply there.
Question,
Okay.
are municipalities eligible? Are municipalities eligible?
Okay, what do you mean by municipal?
So if Swanton Village incurred damage, or
taxpayers in general in the village.
Well, did it, like, were any houses damaged here? Did homeowners have damages here? Because they
Could have been, yeah.
had it as a continuous county.
Okay,
So, are there damages to homes? If it is not, this is information that I need to take back and
okay.
provide to them if that's the case. So did you have a lot of?
No, I don't think we did, but I think you're probably referring more to like our infrastructure, as a whole, maybe? No?
Yeah, I mean, if, you know, if we had issues with our hydro dam or anything like that, you know, if waters were just too much and damaged our dam.
I would suggest that you would call the 1-800, because I don't wanna tell you the wrong thing.
Okay,
Also, have you been in contact with the agriculture,
that was gonna be my next question.
oh,
No question.
yeah, because they do have,
Okay.
a location in Vermont,
Okay,
the USDA.
yep,
And, I have the information, but I don't have it here with me. If you could provide me with your email address, when I get back to my hotel, I'll email you that information, how you can get in contact with them, because they also have, programs as well. And also, they're gonna be rolling out some more programs, grant money, things of that nature. So when that rolls out, who I need to contact, I need that information, so when it rolls out, I can provide it to you as well.
Is this a federal or a state program?
Both,
Both?
yeah, the state is rolling out grant money, and the federal, the USDA, it's a couple of them. I just was notified today, that there are gonna be more, so I can't speak on what's coming down the pipeline, but once I get that information, I can forward it on to you guys.
Is there a drop dead date on this, or?
Now, for physical damages, the deadline has been extended to October the 12th. And for the program that I'm talking to you about today, the deadline is April the 15th, 2024. And they give that long spread because, like I say, sometimes it takes 6 months to a year before a business can realize they have been affected.
Yeah. I think, or at least if you're willing to send me an email, it's, and I'll give you my business card on the way out, or if you wanna just write it, it's wsheets@swanton.net.
Okay, okay.
You send me everything, we'll repost on our website to all of our citizens to make sure if they qualify or have interest, they'll have your 800 number and they'll have your website.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And
you're
also I see you that USDA
Yes,
information as well.
okay, great, thank you.
Super, thank you very much. Okay, back into our normal agenda. I would approve and accept the minutes of August 15th as presented. They were a long, there was a lot of typing.
It did.
They were accurate though.
they
It was
were,
very well done, yes.
yes,
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of Tuesday, August 15th, 2003.
and I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All those in favor of approving the minutes of August 15th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes approved. Approve and accept the village warrants through Thursday, September 7th. They have those electronically, I believe.
I'll move that we approve the warrants through August, or September 7th, sorry.
Okay. I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
There were no questions? Everything's good?
Nope. Fine.
Perfect. Number 6, and we're gonna do two things here. We need the village water system and the sewer system approval, so we need to go into water commissioners meeting. Can I
I
have?
will make the motion that we go into water commissioners meeting at 7:12.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Request for hookup to the village system of 116 Middle Road. Bobby Dusher. Any special? Yeah, this is you?
This is.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hi,
Come on up.
how are you people tonight?
we're good.
Pleasure to be here.
Nothing, can't go wrong.
I hear you. We should all build arcs. Yeah, so my problem is twofold, but let's start with the main thing as to why I'm here tonight. The house was built in 1975, 116 Middle Road. I've owned the property for 5 years. I have a handicapped brother who lives with me, and when he came to live with me a couple of years ago, one of the requirements is you had to have your water tested. So I'm on a well, and I went and got the water tested, and I brought it down to the lab in, I believe it's Colchester, Winooski exit down that way, and they said it doesn't pass. They said dump 5 gallons of bleach directly down in your well, run the water for a few minutes, and then bring us a sample. And it passed enough, but the water's not drinkable. So for 5 years, I've been hauling water out of the park down there. When the thing gets put over the top of it, I have to go to relatives or neighbors' houses and bring my gallon jugs and my milk crates. And this is what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And enough's enough. Looking to get permission to hook up to the town water. I understand there's fees and costs involved and things of that nature, and I'm willing to meet all those things and have the work done by a professional, not somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, you know. So I came to you. And then the other issue that I have with, and it's not anybody's fault, not Swanton's fault, it's not my fault, with the rainwater so bad this year. There's just so much water on my property, it's just not really developing enough time to dry out and filter out to keep that water potable and for it to drain off of my property. My neighbor here, Alan Paterno, his mom's property borders mine, and his garden just literally suffered this year because the amount of water. We both felt that there should have been a drain put in way back in 1975 when that house was built, before a permit was even issued to build that home. But that's another subject, and we'll touch on that at a later date if need be. But I am looking to hook up to the town water.
You're welcome.
I have some information on this, if you
Okay.
don't mind. You can make yourself comfortable.
Yep.
It's a public document, so I'm giving you that as well. And I'm Bill Sheets.
Give us a second to review this.
Yeah, nice to meet you. So let me know when you're done and we can certainly talk through this. So here's I researched this with Dean Ryan, our Public Works Supervisor. The state of that line is in pretty poor condition. We did do the addition, of course, prior to my time, but I think the three of you were here as water commissioners on September 14th of 2020, where we did approve a connection close by on 1 Madison Drive. Mr. Letourneau's here, I think he could speak to that. I believe that caused some additional pressure issues on your line.
It did, and what happened on that site, there was a plan already, developed, and they were supposed to have a well. And somehow, magically, he hooked up to the water, I don't know how. And
Okay,
with someone's approval.
board.
Yeah, he came in front of the board on September 14th of 2020 and got board approval. So the same process.
Right, and back then you guys knew about the water problem we have in Mineral. Right? So this guy, Bob, he has an issue. Okay, it isn't just wanting to hook up to the water. His water's no good. I will not impose it, or oppose it, because of that reason. But I was very upset about the times it was hooked up when we had a plan and that gentleman was supposed to have a well. So my request that he get permission to hook up to the line because his water's not good, it's not drinkable.
I also did, in addition for informational purposes, approach Chevalier's, who originally installed our well, to put in a softener system to correct the problem, and it just has not worked. So it's not like I just tried to, oh, well, I'll make this a bigger burden, you know? I didn't take the steps, and everything that we've tried just has not worked.
So this is one of our most highest priority lines that we need in the queue, so to speak, of many that we would love to upgrade. That could be 5 to 10 years away, depending on where and when we find available funding. So it's not from just the internal point of view, it's not that we don't encourage new customers, new revenue, and it's not that we don't want to support our citizens, but at some point, it's gotta be enough is enough. It's up to the water commissioners, the trustees, but at some point, we have to be cognizant of the demands on our system and the leaks. So we had the leak detection folks come in for 4 days. One of the biggest leaks was further down on the Middle Road line, on the private line. We're talking, what's that?
It was a front line.
Yeah, so, significant leak there. We're gonna hold the private line accountable, that's another conversation, but, those are the facts. I understand the situation you're in, I get it, I'm just giving the water commissioners the point of view from Public Works and the pressures that we're facing.
I understand. I had a question about the location. This is at 116 Middle Road, and we have, it's our line that goes to 166?
Down to 169, I
Okay,
believe.
well, I don't quite understand the numbering system. Obviously, 116 is, before, or is it after?
No, this would be on our, part of our line that we own, so.
This is part of our
The
line?
old missile base, the left there, one
Yes.
house beyond that is that 169? I'm going off the top of my head, but
Yeah,
I'm pretty close.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
where we
I don't
end.
know for sure.
Where is 116?
That's Gila
So
Rush's old place.
116 would be just past Gaston Randall's farm on the right. Then he's got the house right next to mine, he still owns that he rents out, and the house right next to it.
And he's right next to my mom's house in Nicole, where the big garden is.
How big a leak is this?
2 million gallons a year.
Gee,
What I have learned
More
from
than a
the
couple
leak
gallons a
detection
day.
folks, and we have more on this later, but we may as well get into it. Even within Vermont, that is considered a small, minor leak that most municipalities wouldn't even address. But it's still 2 million gallons a year. And it's not like it's coming from the lake, that's 2 million gallons a year that we're treating with alum and other, we're
Yeah.
getting at drink, ready to go through
Yeah.
our water plant. So it's a cost to us. So we will do due diligence and track that leak down. But that is beyond where these gentlemen.
that's on the private line.
Correct.
Just wanted to confirm that.
Yep.
For everybody to get the location clear.
Well, you could have another leak right where we are too,
Mhm.
because I'm pumping water every day now. And, just so he doesn't have water on his land.
Just so that you understand, it's pumping water out of his residence.
Right.
It's by the garden, between his mom's property
I
and
dug a
mine.
big hole in my tractor and I put a pump in there. And I run it all day long.
Is that due to the rainwater or the
Yes,
leak?
that's the
We
rain.
don't know if it's the rainwater or leak.
The majority of it is. It's
But
gonna-
it's
Easy enough to find out, just test it for chlorine.
Yeah, but I'm thinking it's because of the water level being so high.
Probably.
I'm sure it doesn't help, and you're right, stormwater, we have stormwater deficiencies throughout our system, and Middle Road is no different, for sure.
Yeah.
like before the high rains, we'd probably have water on the bottom of that, my mom's land for maybe a couple weeks. And then after that, most of summer was dry. But not anymore.
Out of the 5 years that I've been at the property, well, Alan's been there a lifetime, but out of the 5 years that I've been there, we've had 2 rainy seasons, this one being the worst. And it just didn't dry up. And then Alan had told me one year, and I said, well, when's this gonna dry up, you know, it's fresh for the neighborhood, sort of thing. And he says, dig right here, and I dug up a little drain tile that runs across the back of my property, it was all mudded up. Kinda straightened it out, but it's just, doesn't alleviate the problem anymore. There's just so much water in the ground. But I need.
Would we need to, test that water? I mean, I would pump his containment area out and then immediately test the water that's coming
We
in there
definitively did not, there was no leak in our system.
prior to that.
Even there, where they are, there's no leak detected in the system by the leak detection folks, and they can pinpoint. That technology is tremendous. It is much further down onto the private line.
Well, I'm thinking that since the leak and the problem is well beyond these gentlemen's properties, there's probably no reason not to hook up. Unless, does our crew think we shouldn't, or?
Our public works crew is, again, has nothing to do with you. It's the additional capacity on a 3-inch old line where we've hooked up additional people in the past, including 3 years ago. We've seen a reduction in pressure. It's almost at the point where it would be considered capacity. Our public works department would oppose it based on the current capacity on the line.
Are there fire hydrants in the area?
Well, I didn't get the question.
Are there fire hydrants on this line?
No, there's one at the beginning of the road.
Right at the beginning.
At the corner?
Correct.
The other option is get the water under control there, like those 2 houses were built, and I don't know how they got approved, without drainage underneath the driveways to drain. I don't know how that happened, but that was years ago.
Well, I guess so.
So
22 years.
we'll have to go back and look through some paperwork and see who approved that. It's probably that Mr. Fournier.
But yeah, it's around that time frame. I
Yeah.
remember at about the time, I'd say mid-70s.
Yeah, so I talked to Mr. Fournier, and he said, yep, they're gonna send a man down, we're gonna put a transit over there across the road, and we're gonna see if the angle will work. That was 2 months ago, I haven't seen him. You know, so I've been pumping water out, you know, my cars by myself, and pumping it out in the field. Just so Robert does not have a lot that's just full of water.
So I'm thinking in the meantime, we should put this, I don't know if we should table this or just deny it.
I want a chance to consider it. I need to sleep on it though.
So you wanna table it for tonight?
I would like to table it for tonight.
I'll be around tomorrow if you wanna come visit. I can show you.
I'll take a drive by. I mean, part of me understands, you know, public works. Part of me wants to make this happen.
Right.
So, I'm, you know, and I'm only one of 3, but I need the opportunity to sleep on it.
I appreciate that, I make the best decisions in my life after a night of sleep too, you know, you just don't make split-second decisions. You know, like, why did I do that later?
Now, if Bob didn't have this situation on his hands, I would oppose it, okay? But The one that was approved 3 years ago should have never been approved.
Did it
Yeah.
affect your pressure, Alan?
Huh?
Did it affect your water pressure
It
a
did.
lot, a lot?
A little, you
Like you
can
can
tell.
tell when they're running water versus when you are?
Yeah, there's a difference every time somebody hooks up.
Well,
It's
I'm
a
sure
little
there
less.
is. It's only a 3-inch line and pick
Yeah.
up several homes.
So my question to you, Mr. Sheets, is, and it's not your responsibility or your fault, what was done in 1960, we all get that.
Correct.
What size line should have been installed way back then to
Oh,
accommodate?
I have no idea. I can only look forward and tell you that we're in the process, full steam ahead of identifying literally every line we have in our system, every valve, every hydrant, everything, and identify water and sewer, and identify a replacement schedule. And every conversation I have with Dean and his crew, and they're the professionals,
Yeah.
keep saying middle road, middle road. That's the one that's gonna be prioritized. I say that, can't make any commitment in terms of when we identify funding. There's a lot of water funding out there and wastewater funding. I don't know when it's gonna happen. Could be 5 years, could be 10 years, could be 2 years. So this is a unique situation. We do have somebody who's supporting it. I am just bringing you our concerns, but I understand this gentleman's predicament and where he's at.
In the meantime, I don't have any objection to getting water for drinking purposes,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
But if it wasn't for this situation, I would deny it.
I see. Is this, original line, was that built for the missile base?
Yes. And when you look at the line, when it busted in front of my house, the line actually looks brand new. It's made of good metal, it's not rusted, it still has paint on it. And it's very strange how it cracks. It'll make a clean cut all the way across like somebody cut it with a saw. You know, it doesn't crack, it just shears it right off.
I mean, across the pipe?
No, it just goes right straight across. You just barely can see it.
Huh.
But it doesn't blow apart. It's just a clean cut.
Like down the side of it, along with it?
You know,
That's what he was asking, does it
No,
go
the
across
pipe
the
goes
pipe or
this way.
with the pipe?
it'll go right across the pipe.
That's strange.
Yeah.
To me,
Clean cut.
must be where they were joined or something, welded. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not an expert on that for sure.
And I do know that there's a leak down the road. I can tell by the pressure. But I'm sure you've already been, told that the water's leaking down there.
That's on the private line.
If, it would have seemed to me that if the leak were fixed, that probably that would stabilize the pressure,
Yes.
especially even for an additional hookup.
I guess the question that raises in my mind, you got the village line and the private line. Are they connected together?
Yes.
And does it stop at some point and then become private?
Yes, it stops at
Okay.
around 169 Middle Road, it
Okay.
becomes private.
So it's
Of course-
not two separate
Of
lines?
course,
it is
there
one
are
line.
customers,
Right,
and they pay for the water, but it is a private line that they must maintain. So in this case, that's gonna be, the next outreach next week we'll be reaching out to them to hold them accountable to
get them to fix that,
repair their leak.
which would take care of the pressure,
Would help.
which would
That's it.
possibly, everybody agree,
Yeah.
grant me permission to move forward.
Yeah, this gentleman, clearly has mitigating circumstances.
Oh, I understand.
I guess I give you the background and the facts that
Yeah.
at some point, absent these mitigating circumstances, if someone were to come in tomorrow with just a normal routine, just because hookup request, we should deny it. This
Yeah.
situation is different.
That's why I wanna sleep on it.
So you're gonna make,
I-
well,
I
can
agree
make-
with Adam, but I wonder if we could at least with Dean and his crew, just think about alternatives, or could we try a hookup and see what happens, and possibly, you know,
Quite an expense to hook up to, he's gotta
Yeah.
dig 10
Right.
feet down and.
Yeah, it's an
He's
expense for
he's
this
gonna have
gentleman,
quite
for
an
sure.
expense
Yeah.
to
I
do
think
this. It's
drinkable
not gonna
water.
be cheap.
I'm sure.
Right.
You know, Dean already talked to him, with him, and it's gonna be quite expensive.
Well, there's a pipe across the road already. So you don't have to go across the
Oh,
road.
he doesn't have to bore under?
I'd have to go
No.
there.
So he's probably gonna hook up to my mother's line, right? A tee off that, you don't have to go through like my property, you know, through. then
So this
across
this is
it.
an alternate
What's that?
possibility? Are you proposing an alternate hookup?
No, cause I think that's how they do it, like whoever's on that side of the road, they hook up to whoever's on that side.
Cause the line runs across the street from me.
That's right.
The
I'm
main
on the
line.
other side.
Yeah.
So either I would need directional drilling,
Mhm.
which was fine, I would incur that expense, as well as excavation to do it, and also spoke with this lady here and a couple of guys, or one of the gentlemen from your department, I'm assuming,
Dean.
as to how, you know, tamping and all that other stuff would be done, so it would be done right, like, you know, and the town would be happy with the way it is and know that it wasn't botched, you know, done right. I'm prepared to meet that expense.
But I was told that you can tap on a line that's already brought over across the road, the big line. Cause when they tap from the big line, cross it over, and then from there, they can tap on again and feed another house.
You're looking at the wrong gentleman on that
I'm
time.
pretty sure.
I understand what he means though, cause it's already coming across the road to his mom's house, so we go from my house to his mom's house, which is right next door to me.
It's
And then
certainly
you don't
done.
have to shoot across the road and
Yeah.
hook into the main line again, cause I'm just be essentially hooking up to your mom's,
It's the same line,
my own meter.
yeah.
I would defer the professionals on that. I think I don't think the circumstances change. This gentleman certainly has some mitigating factors that we don't often see. He certainly doesn't have drinkable water right now. Again, I'm just balancing out factual information for all of you that we're about maxed on that system if we're not. But maybe this is the ending point. Maybe with his mitigating factors, it puts us over and we approve the 400 gallons, up to 400 gallons a day. And we go on record by saying for that line right now until it's replaced, we're maxed.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the compromise here.
Fair compromise.
And you're more than welcome to stop by and visit.
I'm around too tomorrow if you need me, but just speak with Dean and talk about these possible different
Dean's on
scenarios.
vacation.
Dean's on vacation. I think the
Oh.
facts, I respect the need to, if you wanna sleep on it, I think the facts are the facts. I think if you're not picking up what I'm laying down, I think I support this gentleman, but I'm wary of where we're at maxing that line. But I understand his circumstances. Maybe it's the final hookup, and I'm cognizant, I'm appreciative that Alan's here, and he's not opposing it this time. And it's on his line, it's gonna impact him.
But why I'm not doing it is because he needs water.
Right.
It's different.
Yes. No, I understand.
Yeah, I do too. I'm ready to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we table this issue as a request for water allocation until such time as the problem is further investigated.
Can we put some kind of timeline on this when Dean gets back and
If you wish.
that there's two things to chase here. One is try to resolve the further down the line leak, see if that helps things out. And look at the situation and any alternative ways of hooking this thing up to satisfy all needs.
That's what my motion is intended to say. Let's study it until such
Can we
time
do
we
it,
get further information.
Table it till our next meeting on the 25th, it's 2 weeks.
We can, you know, if there's not information, then we can.
Bobby, do you have a
Move it
contractor
again.
lined up yet that can actually say, this is what they're gonna recommend, this is where they recommend you
I
hook
just started
directional?
working for Kevin Jordan.
Okay,
That's who I would probably go with,
Okay.
because that would save me some of the expense, and Kevin's been in business a very long time.
He certainly has. So
And he's
that
a
may,
resident right here in Swanton as well, so.
yeah, that would help us.
Yeah.
If you can definitively say, here's how I intend to hook up when and if approved.
Right, and that should be based on the board's decision of fixing that part of the private line, holding them accountable to fix the pressure.
Yep.
And then what Dean says,
Where to hook up.
where to hook up,
Exactly.
you know, and then
So let's-
we'll do as we are instructed, nothing else.
So we'll gather all that, we'll look into it and schedule it for the 25th.
Sounds very fair.
And I have your number, yeah.
And at the same time, maybe we can look at, the water problem we have.
The drainage.
And Mr. Fournier's involved in
Is that the town highway issue?
it. It's, it's still, it's the town, Kevin.
Yeah, so it's the town highway.
So it's already been reported.
Okay.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we can't do anything
I know.
about that, but we
Water
can
is
work
right.
together, we can all live together, right?
So when you decide to reschedule, just give me the heads up like you did before as to when the
2
meeting is.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
6
remember. I'm a very busy man.
We anticipate, unless something
Oh my
happens,
God.
2 weeks from today,
Yeah.
we'll get you back on the schedule.
Give me the call the day or two before,
Yeah.
and then Bob, and your little reminder, please and
Okay.
thank you. That's how I will remember the best. I almost totally missed a meeting tonight, my wife's mom just passed away yesterday. So things have been a
Sorry to
little
hear that.
chaotic, being
Oh.
there, supportive of my wife and the family, and making funeral arrangements today, and then go to work, and then I get home, I'm like, oh, I got that meeting. Yeah, so, but please give me that heads
Yeah,
up.
I will.
We totally understand, we're sympathetic, we're gonna do what we can do. We appreciate Alan's input as well.
I thank you people for your time. So we'll see you again in a couple weeks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it.
Thank you much, have a good evening.
Thank you.
you too.
Okay, well, we're still in water commissioners.
Yep,
Oh, that's right.
Let's deal with the Swan Valley.
yeah, I got an email today, I got a phone call from Elaine Simon. He is Vice President, General Manager for Simon Operations Services. He's working for Swan Valley Cheese Facility. They're applying for a new wastewater permit through the state of Vermont, and they need a signed allocation approval letter from the village for 125,000 gallons per day. That goes into their lagoon, which then goes to our lagoon. So I called Jason Starr, wastewater treatment plant operator, to make sure that was the correct number, that we could handle that. He looked back, of course, COVID stopped all operations, and he looked back at prior permits, and that was the amount that they ran with and we could handle, and he's fine with that number. It's just basically a formality to get them a new signed application. So hopefully they're back up and running and in business.
So, I'll make the motion that we approve the 125,000 gallon per day allocation for Swan Valley.
I'll second. Sounds reasonable. Actually, good.
No further discussion?
Nope.
What's your pleasure? Aye.
Make the motion.
Aye.
Okay, Diane, you can take care of that?
Yep, I will.
Send them a letter and whatever you need.
I'll make the motion, we come out of water commissioners at 7:42.
I'll second that motion as well.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, on to number 7. Sign loan agreement with Vermont State Revolving Loan Fund of RF 35, I'm not sure what that means, amount for $78,600.
It's the loan number, we've talked about it before, we've executed an agreement with A&E. They're here not for this reason, but this is the formal acknowledgement of the, Wayne, help me out.
The lead
It's the lead,
pipes.
yeah,
Yes, that's correct. The lead service inventory.
lead service inventory, thank you.
And this is for $78,600, but we got a grant for more than that. I think it's 100,000, Lynn said. So this is 100% covered by the grant.
Perfect.
Yeah, thanks, Diane. Yeah, it's processes a loan, but it's 100% forgiven up to 100,000.
Sounds like a no-brainer to me.
I'll make the appropriate motion that we sign the loan agreement with the Vermont State Revolving Fund
Yeah.
for whatever, the amount of $78,600.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Gentlemen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye, aye, and aye.
Aye.
Very good. So that's done?
That's done, yep. So the next item is about the wastewater treatment facility. We have talked all along about shooting for a November, this year, November 2023 bond vote for our wastewater treatment facility upgrade. We have been working very closely with A&E related to this and the process. We had a call late last week to talk about where we were in the process. And at that point, we weighed the pros and cons of, are we ready to go, truly ready to go for a November 2023 bond versus waiting? We know we have a potentially large ask of our citizenry in March for the public safety bond, separate issues. So we talked internally, that was myself, Jason Starr, Lynn, and the A&E team, Wayne and Jeff. And the only negative to waiting a year would be to try to get additional grant funding. I recommend that we proceed. I believe Wayne's gonna weigh in here in a moment and talk about proceeding. To set the stage, you remember the downtown economic development tour that we had with the Secretary of Commerce and other officials from the governor's cabinet. And when I came back after that meeting, I thought it was $1 million visit. They proceeded to have additional meetings with us, the state of Vermont, at their request. We applied for and are now through at least a couple of the stages, but we think the final stages of receiving $1 million in the form of a grant from the state of Vermont. And then we will have a package of additional loan forgiveness, and we'll know what the actual bond ask will be in plenty of time, even though we sit here in September, but in plenty of time for the November bond vote. So from our point of view internally, I'm very comfortable proceeding with what we have. It's a good package. There's a bunch of loan forgiveness there. I think we're gonna have a 2% loan amount on that. My question back to A&E, Wayne and Jeff, were, are you truly ready? Are we at that 60% mark? Are we ready to actually drill down and create definitive cost for a bond? And now I'll turn it over to those gentlemen.
Put me on the spot, Bill.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are. We're finishing that up. Of course, adding the centrifuge of dewatering throw a little bit of twist and things, so push us behind. But as we talked about on Friday morning, all that is achievable for a November bond vote this year. The only change, if you did push it off a year and go to November of next year, obviously the cost would increase accordingly. It would push the construction off another year. There are concerns about the condition of the centrifuge for the dewatering, the reliability, and when that thing is down, it's a pretty costly O&M hit. So based on the schedule we talked about, of course, Diane's been through this process quite a few times. The only thing that's really this November, there's nothing out on there to vote on, and that doesn't mean it can't be done this November, and you can't hold a vote on November 2nd, so there's no other elections or things. The nice thing about this year is you have a lot more flexibility in the schedule. The challenge we've honestly had the last couple of years is through COVID, where the state's been doing the mail-in ballots and everything. You had to basically have everything almost ready to go, the article read and the amount, all that by the end of August. So the nice thing about where we are today, we're working with that 30-day time frame. There's plenty of time to coordinate an open house, get the bond documents put together by the bond council, get them in front of the board for signature approval, do the public hearings, that kind of stuff here too.
We're ready on our end for open houses. We don't need to definitively set the dates today. And I get that these are lightly attended, however, I wanna have a weekday open house at 10, 2, and 6 p.m. Wayne and Jeff, you do not have to be there for all of those. And we'll have a presentation, nothing will be here, we're gonna do it right on the wastewater site. We're gonna give the appropriate tours, we're gonna let them see exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna give a walkthrough, and then I'd like to do it on the weekend at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Have literally 5 open houses, plenty of social media. We are fortunate this time to have a UVM intern from former Senator Corey Parent teaches a class at UVM, and we're gonna be assigned one of his interns for 100 hours specifically to work on a communication plan for the wastewater treatment facility. So they get time to work on their stuff, get credit for it, and we get the advantage of utilizing an asset that we don't currently have to help spread the word, in particular social media, about this bond book.
What do you need from us?
Just an acknowledgement that you support moving forward with a November 23 bond vote for the wastewater treatment facility.
Support.
I would agree. I think we're ready, let's roll and see what happens. Gives us more options.
Wayne, next steps, what are the deadlines on your end at this point?
That's great with the intern. I assume we can work together closely with them, Bill, for like public information, flyer, presentations, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yep. So we'll just get the bond vote amount nailed in. And so as we talked about, which this doesn't delay anything, we're still waiting. We're hoping the final project list is out this week. So in addition to the $1 million, the project qualifies for at least a 13% pollution control grant, and that's applied to the total project cost. We do want to have some more discussions with the state on that and finalize. That could go up slightly. All the other funding is there, so it's just a matter of us, nailing in the bond vote amount with your bond council, Bill.
Okay.
And then I think the other next step, you asked specifically next steps, we'll be scheduling that 60% meeting that I emailed you about at the end of last week. I'll be sitting down with you and the operator to go over 60% plans and reviewing all that. It's a fun meeting.
Yep. So we can help coordinate with the bond council and then work with the intern to start putting some of the information together for the public presentations, outreach and presentations and things.
Am I right in saying that this is basically a maintenance upgrade, where this is not a capacity problem or a functional problem? It's just time to do some,
27-year-old-ish
Yeah,
facility,
Yep.
yes.
yeah. No, I think that
So-
makes perfect sense.
So Chris, remember the main driver with this project is the phosphorus removal. That was when we did the pilot testing
Oh, yes.
on site back about 3 years ago. So that's a very important piece of this project, plus addressing these age-related needs.
Yeah.
Yep.
The phosphorus input into the lake is an issue that's dear to Franklin County because of St. Albans Bay, so. No, I think this is the right time. I would certainly vote for that.
Agreed.
Let's make it in a motion so it's official.
I'll move that we proceed with the November 2nd bond vote for the wastewater treatment plant as planned.
I'll
We know
second.
we're doing it on the 2nd?
Is that, I thought I heard November 2nd, that's why.
No.
It would be the 7th, right, Diane?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry, I amend my motion to November 7th.
I heard two also.
Okay, we have the motion in a second. How do we vote?
Aye.
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 Been working on this a couple of years.
Okay. It's official. Thank you, Wayne.
Great, thank you, guys. Good evening.
Wayne, before you hang up, can you just do some quick math, or Jeff, on what that extra capacity of 125,000 gallons if it goes through, right, they're permitting now, what that does to our capacity, and just follow up with me. Projected capacity if we add 125,000 a day to wastewater treatment.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, I assume that's already there, Bill. That's capacity that they've had in prior years.
Okay, so that's, even though they have not contributed in the last 2.5 years,
It's
roughly,
probably still accounted.
Yep.
it's still accounted for. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, so I don't think
When we
that's
did
new. Yep,
When we
sorry,
did the
Jeff.
20-year evaluation that looked at flows, that would have been during that period of time. That was prior to COVID. So I don't think that has a significant impact on any of our numbers. If anything, the numbers now are lower, but they'll come back up to where they were in our 2019 report. We'd anticipate.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
You wouldn't be amending your permit or anything. It would just, I think you're just looking to get a good sense of what that's going to do to the facility, and that's reflected in the 20-year, I would anticipate.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, moving on.
Thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Your crew. Number 9, identify open house date for the public safety facility discussion and tours.
Yeah, so it's really the same process. Right now, the construction manager, along with REARC and Weeman Lamphere, are working on finalizing what we have given them and creating cost. So haven't seen those yet. We're probably a couple of more weeks out. But at the same time, we want to make sure we're now putting together an educational package internally to prepare for the public meetings that we'll inevitably have. And I'd like to follow the same format there at a minimum, 5 open houses, 3 in one day on a weekday, 2 on a weekend, same time frames. 10, 2, 6, 10 and 2 on a weekend. And that one clearly will have an open door for anyone that wants to pop in at any time and ask questions. In the process, at this point, we go back in front, we go in front of the DRB on the 28th off the top of my head to try to get the variance for the proposed location. And we are currently exploring through our attorney how to do an annexation of the property. The town is going to tax us at 124 First Street. So we'll immediately jump into an annexation and hope to make that village property so that we don't have to pay tax on our own public safety facility.
That was not part of our agreement with Jewett Street property, or,
The determination has been made by the lister and zoning that at this current time, it's a taxable property.
So that the Carroll property.
Correct. So 124 First Street next door.
interesting.
So we'll work on that. And the good news on that end, we were accepted into the BRELA program. It has been verified. So BRELA is the indemnification program. Once you get a clean slate on your mitigation efforts for any brownfields, you're indemnified. So
Nice.
if there's something downstream, 10 years, 30 years, 40 years, you're protected. Additionally, Northwest Regional Planning Commission has verified that their brownfield funding will cover the full assessment. So they'll go back and they'll do a modified, essentially a gap analysis from what we inherited in Tier 1 and Tier 2 reports when it was owned by Valleys.
Yeah.
They'll update those and they'll pay for the assessment cost. Any mitigation cost for what those findings are will be on us. We will know the amount prior to the bond in March. We'll know by January 1st so that we can build any mitigation if it's significant and needed into the bond.
Excellent.
So that's where we are with that. So just quickly, it's just an open question. In reference to identifying those dates, can we internally just build those dates back to wastewater, create the dates, make sure you're all invited, if you can be there, be there?
Yeah.
And then public safety, that's a little bit further down, so we'll have additional meetings to talk about those dates. But we can at least establish the dates and just let you know.
Yep.
Sure, please.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Wait 2 minutes.
Katie's phone.
Yeah, the danger of waiting till November on any open houses is people are gonna wanna walk and see what the limitations are, but yes. Okay.
Moving on to number 10, discuss this wind exploration through BEPSA.
Yeah, so VEPSA was approached by Pecos Wind, and Pecos Wind is an organization that has identified in multiple parts of the 11 munis that are part of VEPSA to include Swanton Electric. They identified potential viable sites where a mini wind turbine, 1/3 the size of the ones that you see in New York, might be viable. The locations that they identified in a conference call with myself and Jason Starr and Lynn were 2 locations, up near P10 and right out behind our wastewater treatment facility. The goal is that they're looking for a location where they can meet the demands and provide the full load needed for that location. So this is years away. It's simply an exploratory phone call. They partnered with VEPSA. We're obviously good partners with our VEPSA friends, and we had that call about a week and a half ago. Great first call. Couple possible locations. Way too early to tell if there's even a viable wind. They won't even come out to the site until they do a whole bunch of testing off-site, and then they'll come out and say, it might work here, and then you would begin to get a whole bunch of details. So, it's years away.
Well, that's good, because my only question was, what's in it for us?
I don't know that.
Exactly.
That's what I asked. I asked, how is this going to help us
Yep.
when we produce the 3rd lowest power rate in the state of Vermont?
Exactly.
And the guy was great. He goes, I don't know. It's got to be a cost benefit analysis. Same thing, right? Because really, there's us, there's VEPSA or a different 3rd-party vendor, and there's them. And I cannot imagine that any company is in the business of developing these and installing these if they're not making a profit.
Right.
So,
You'll be using our lines.
yeah. Yes.
Just a spin-off question. Has Project 10 wound up at all this summer? Have we had a need for that extra power?
I do not believe that, well, I don't know, because I didn't follow up during this most recent where we were really peaking. Don't know if they had a black start at all. I'm not sure.
What's our obligation with Project 10 right now? Are we doing anything security-wise, going over and exercising it, doing anything that way?
No, a 100% VEPSA owned, we own 7% of
Yes.
P10 because of our relationship with VEPSA. So, fully staffed still by Dave Gagne. VEPSA supports them in terms of cybersecurity, other security measures, and any other ancillary needs that they have.
So
But if
there's
we had
nothing
to-
directly that we're,
No, but we had to cover for David, we do.
Yes.
Yeah, do some operations and maintenance coverage for him, very rarely.
okay.
Yeah.
Just
But if
just
we-
an
if it's
update for
needed-
me.
Yeah.
If it's needed, we're there.
Number 11, update of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Bridge, Depot Street.
Okay, so we'll pull up the, you have them in front of you, but we're before the camera and you have to share screen. Yep, oh, you got it, you know this by heart. So myself, Heidi, Dean, had a conference call with the folks at AOT, and it was, let me grab my notes here. Carolyn, Coda, and Spencer. Spencer's one of the bridge guys. He's been here before. They, at some point, will certainly make the time to come in person and answer any questions. They weren't available now, so I wanted to kick this off to you to kind of articulate what they presented. So they sent us copies and photos, so you have them in front of you, and you kind of have the state of the state. So maybe for just now, we walk through the photos on the screen. So clearly, I don't have to editorialize much of this, but you just go ahead and scroll down. the issues remain. They did a full bridge inspection. It's not an annual bridge inspection yet. It's every 2 years, so they will come back in 2 years. Everything is rated structurally sound. The red flags and the structurally deficient areas of our bridge are the expansion joints. Well, we kind of knew that. So that's essentially what you see in 1966. Again, on schedule, they're asking questions and surveys. They're in the scoping study process of the big bridge replacement, which will be in 2029 and still scheduled at this point for 2029. So if we just go through here, these are our issues right here.
Yeah.
So if you recall, we went out to bid and we did a bid to repair both joints. At that time, we had $175,000 in funding, and the bid came back, and I believe $260,000. We asked for and were granted by the state another $25,000, but we rejected that bid based on cost and whether or not there were some alternative solutions. If you recall, I don't have it in front of me, but a significant cost for that bid, roughly 40-ish%, maybe 45%, was traffic control.
Yep.
So as we go through this, you see all of the issues here. So this again, anything where you see this joint abutment, those are the two areas that we have to deal with next construction season. We have one more full year on the grant, so $200,000. So as we're walking through this, you can go ahead and keep going, Diane, please. Now you'll start to see some of the other stuff. So even if you see deficiencies in the rest of the photos, they are not flagged as being deficient to the point of being requiring replacement. So even that stuff, even where you see the beams, that stuff can wait till 2029. The expansion joints cannot. In fact, their statement is that they hope that they can wait until next year and they don't fail prior to that. So a couple things that we need to consider. We would like to go back out this fall, early winter, with another RFP, really start working the phones, working every possible connection we have so that we get more people actually showing an interest in doing this work. We think based on the timing that we can do that. We had limited bids last time. I think it was only ECI, I believe, was the ones that had the winning bid of $260,000, or the only bid that was rejected. So, but we want to take a different approach. We would like to do an RFP that says, please bid in the following ways. One is the traditional way to include traffic control, and option B is tell us how quickly you can repair this bridge. So for example, can we shut this down at 7 a.m. on a Friday morning with a great sign package, message boards, months ahead advertising through every channel that we can, big trucking company, State of Vermont, Feds, Fed Highway, you name it, and close it down for 4 or 5 days and get it done. Our requirements are doing the expansion joints, milling the pavement down around it, and paving. That's what we have to do. When I say we have to do it, I asked the anticipatory question of what happens if we refuse to. And the answer is pretty easy, because there's a formula for this across the United States. If we failed to do it, then they would pull all future federal funding from this project for our bridge, and we would be required to replace our own bridge when it's time, 100% of our cost. So
There's some incentive.
there's some incentive there. So we do own it, whether we enjoy owning or not, we do not. I tried multiple times again to give the bridge back to no avail. And so it's really just an update. Carolyn Coda and her team can come in person or probably on Teams But factually, I think this gives us enough to say, let's go back out, let's do an RFP. We have a project person dedicated now with Heidi who can really work the phones in terms of having capacity for time and outreach, and hope we get more takers. I love that option. The state actually was not disheartened to hear the option of, let's take traffic control and those exorbitant costs out of the equation. Rent signboards, message boards, or borrow them from partner communities for 4 or 5 days and get it done. When school's not in session, had to identify the best time. I don't know how good of a time there is ever, right? 10,800 vehicles use that bridge every single day. So we know 10,800 vehicles are now going to be going around on an alternative route. So that's essentially the update. The other thing to keep in mind is we should start to think of a mechanism where we can set aside, whether it's through an article item or something internally, but it's gotta be a budget build. We have a responsibility in 2029 for between 5% at minimum, 10% maximum for our share, our match share for the bridge cost. The very low ball estimate right now is $10 million.
Yeah,
It's probably, in all likelihood, gonna be more than that. So we have to come up with, and we should start to set aside X number of tens of thousands a year, 100,000 a year,
oh, 100, 200.
every year,
Every
and
year.
make that an article. And make that, as a set aside, or internally find a way, but it's a discussion where we really need to do that so that we're not having the impact of $1 million, or likely more, all at once in 2029.
Well, I suggest a separate article in the, in the warning.
Agreed.
By the way,
I don't understand why, that's Route 78. That's, how that,
In
on the
1938, we requested ownership of the bridge. That's what the research shows.
1938?
I believe it was
That's before me.
1938. It's before this bridge, so I've argued everything, and there's just, we're not alone. The belief in 1938 that, what is that? I'm in a big comfy seat.
I'm trying to.
Oh my God, what was that? I gotta watch that online after.
I didn't see it.
You gotta pull that back up. In 1938, the thought was that we were going to start to create a revenue source by creating a bridge toll.
wow.
Do you think 5 days?
Almost 100 years later, it's still possible.
Do you think somebody could do it in a week?
No idea. No idea.
But even if
16-hour
it's- but
days,
even if it's 2 weeks.
18-hour days, it's possible.
Yeah.
Remember, and they don't have to deal with anything. There's Jersey barriers. The bridge is theirs, they own it. They can set up with however they want to, they don't have to worry about a thing. The bridge expert that was on the line and Carolyn Lakota thought that it's not unreasonable.
Okay,
I don't know if it's 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 9 days.
Yeah. But even if it was 2 weeks,
Right.
it makes more sense.
It does.
And it's not like the world's comes to an end because we've got the BB road.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the public's not gonna love it, but they're not gonna love it either way.
Oh, well.
Right. But you,
I don't love the fact having to spend the money, so.
I'm aware of that.
well, I don't have much choice there, I'm afraid. We don't have to like it.
Right.
However, the way that was proposed earlier, the traffic control, that would have been
That
a
would- yeah,
nightmare,
Yeah,
and I believe be worse than what's being proposed.
yep.
So we will,
Traffic
we will
will
start
flow.
that project. I don't think, we have 200,000 set aside. I don't think we need a motion. This is a continuation of the discussion.
Well, it's information,
Yes.
and maybe motions later on, but
Right.
at least thank you for the information.
I think the thing to think about internally, and it certainly doesn't have to be now, this would be probably a March item. I don't know,
Yes.
maybe it is a November item. Maybe maybe the timing, well, no.
Let's do it.
The
in
separate article for the set aside
Separate
money
article.
for the pending bridge replacement of 2029. Again,
Yep.
5 to 10% is gonna be on us.
Yep.
I would be remiss if I didn't point out that perhaps this is another time to partner with our governance structure friends down the road in the town and talk about a local option tax.
Well, I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that at all.
There's continuing examples for all of us that come up where we're looking again for taxpayer money, but let's face it, a lot of the local option taxes is online or transitory. Citizens that are passing through and other economic drivers that could benefit us. It's not a direct, necessarily a complete burden on our taxpayers, so.
Does that have to be done at the town level? I guess it has to.
We would have to collaboratively do it, and then there would be a formula, and it is nothing that happens quickly.
Based on drained list probably.
Yes, correct, it takes a year or two to make it happen.
What I read on that, though, the only thing what makes it really successful is if you've got some big box stores. That's what makes or breaks that thing. We don't have that.
But all those online purchases that
All
are being done.
online, all of
They're
your various, there's some business where, we're gonna have restaurants, we do have some restaurants, we have a Dollar General. It all adds up, and it quietly adds up, and at the end of the year, it's something more than nothing.
Makes me think of a question.
Beats coin drop.
Well, that's for sure.
We could do one for the bridge.
Just saying.
That's for sure.
Oh, geez.
Help pay for the bridge repair.
Okay, I think I covered enough on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 12, discussion on increasing all sections of social media presence.
Yeah, it's just an open dialogue, and it's really,
Our website's coming right along.
our website's fine. However,
Is the S have to be capital? Swanton, Vermont. .gov?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to.
Oh, it doesn't have
Type
to,
in
No.
all caps are all small, doesn't matter.
can be all. small.
SwantonVT.gov.
website's awesome. This is more internal, so this is on me. We as a team need to do a better job at educating the public on all the great things that we do. Because right now, we talked, what we lacked before was the capacity to execute grants. And we've seen, I think we're like 1.25 million in almost guaranteed grants, 3 months in. Project development's a little bit better. We got a great team. Right now, we are struggling with the capacity to update the public through social media, in particular Facebook, as well as our website. So, for example, of all the variety of projects that we have, we're in the process now, it's gonna take some time, of creating, bulleted action items that say, here's, you're all hearing that we're working on this, and, start on the other side of the bridge, wastewater treatment facility, the bridge, the Missisquoi River Crossing project for the water line, the downtown enhancement, public safety facility, it goes on, right? And then you have the more day-to-day stuff so here's an example. You read online some of the comments, not directly on our Facebook page, but Platt Street got paved. What the feedback right away was, hey, thanks for paving. However, people are now speeding on there's four-wheelers, there's other things that are going on. Well, Chief Sullivan and his team went out and took enforcement action, got a couple of four-wheelers, made connections with a couple of neighbors, but the rest of the public didn't know that. Well, that's on us. We gotta do a better job at making sure we educate people. The leak detection, the valve exercising that we did in Public Works. We can't ask for Dean's team necessarily, who's out there on the job site to do this, but we, and it starts with me, need to be able to find the time and the mechanism to just quickly articulate what we're doing. The voters, the citizens deserve to understand that there's a lot going on in this complex. 38 employees, 38 pros, knocking it out of the park in a multitude of different ways on a daily basis. So even starting tomorrow, Diane's one of the ones that does the social media. For her, I'm worried about the capacity. She's working right out straight all day long. We're gonna have to identify ways as a team to include me directly doing stuff. But tomorrow, we're making sure we're carving out a small part of the day to identify a valve insertion job we have going on right next door. So again, we'll take pictures, Diane will put it on Facebook, we'll start talking about it. I bring it up only in that, you'll hear it, but we need to do a better job at every section. Just like I need to do a better job during my village manager update sections that you'll see starting tonight. I need to take 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 1 minute, whatever it is, every 2 weeks saying, hey, here's what's going on in public works. Here's what's going on in electric. Here's what's going on in hydro, wastewater. If we don't do that, I think we're missing the boat in our communication for anybody that's out there saying, hey, what's going on a daily basis? So that's why that's there. It's just a heads up. The vast majority of people hit the Facebook or other forms of social media. You can make a more long-lasting impression with more in-depth, bigger projects on the website as well as social media. But for the smaller hits, you know, hey, we heard about the speeding issue on Platt Street. We went out, we did enforcement, we got a couple of four-wheelers. We did this, we're gonna continue to be out there showing a law enforcement presence, that kind of stuff.
I think that's a project that needs to be done. I am concerned that it may take more time than perhaps we want to spend, but there's many social media outlets.
Mhm.
And by picking the best ones, or the most popular ones, shall I say, is the good starting point. But you're still gonna miss a bunch of people who have a subset of social media outlets based on what you put out.
Sure.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that the information is accurate.
Right.
That's concerning to me. We see it all the time.
Yeah, we can control our narrative though,
That's all you can
on our
control.
Facebook page. We're not gonna get involved in a dialogue with the citizens. They can come in, they can have a conversation, but we're not gonna get involved in a dialogue back and forth online. They're invited, we always have an open door. Our door's always
Always.
completely open, anybody can walk in at any time.
Always has been.
Anybody can see any of us, certainly including me, of course, including me, so. So more to follow, but I think that will go a long way if we do it right. We are thinking of, so right now, Diane, I think it's only yourself and for Facebook, Lynn. So we're gonna try, right? We're gonna try to have Lynn take control of this effort on her end and with Diane's help. And then on the website, there's yourself, Lynn, myself, Matt Sullivan, and Liz.
Yeah.
Liz Williams. So we have a little bit more capacity there.
Question.
Yeah.
Do you have any information about how often the website is visited?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but we can find that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Sure.
interesting to the public to know.
Yeah, remember he mentioned that, we could track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can do daily reach, same thing, we can, well, Facebook's a little different, but Facebook followers, I think if we do a more comprehensive job. And honestly, the secret for your Facebook is getting out the correct information. People will grab it, copy it, paste it on their own respective sites, which is fine.
Sometimes,
And
yeah.
then it will explode, and, again, we can only do what we control, but I think we can do a much more effective job once we get caught up.
Right.
Then it'll be easy to keep up. But
Oh,
right now, we've got a long way to go.
I mean, you don't even have a local newspaper anymore.
Right.
So things have changed.
Okay, number 13, lucky 13, from village manager's update.
Still my turn. Okay,
He's been busy all day.
we talked about, so speaking of today, that's a good topic. Myself and several others from our team here attended a 2-day, or in the process, day one was today, of a 2-day FEMA course at MVU titled Crisis Management for School-Based Incidents. So 2 from the fire department, 4 from the police department, Missisquoi Valley Rescue, a whole bunch of school officials. It's not specific to like school shootings, it's more of all hazards approach to how upper level command is gonna handle a critical incident. So really good, 2 dynamic instructors going back tomorrow for more, and the best part's free training that was organized by Dean. So our SRO was the one that was really sought this out, and I think you have to have 20 to hold it. I believe there's 37 people signed up in the room.
Wow,
So,
that's awesome.
yep, it's good. It's in the library, so.
And including all the schools.
Franklin's there, Highgate's there, Lake Region's there, St. Albans is there,
Good.
Swanton. Yeah, there's a good number of, and then a whole bunch of disciplines within the school, whether it's administrative, school nurses, maintenance, that type of thing.
That's a good number.
Very good number. We talked about that.
That's a good one.
You heard me say that, so the state of Vermont by October has a requirement for the 3-acre rule for stormwater. Reminder, we have 3 sites where we sit right now on 121st Street, 124 First Street. Those are both being taken care of, and those requirements will be met. Regardless of whether we go ahead with the public safety building, we're gonna make sure that this site has a 3-acre rule plan that's approved. Our other one is Jones Court. So we met with Watershed Consulting, myself, Dean, and Heidi on September 7th. We'll contract with them, very small amount of money to get in the queue. So the requirement is to get in the queue, that you as a community are taking it seriously. By October, then you have 5 years to implement whatever mitigation plans required. So we will meet all of our 3, we only have 3, we're lucky, some communities have 20. So we have 3-acre rule requirement properties, and we're gonna take care of those needs. The Missisquoi River crossing, this is just to confirm that based on our decision a month ago at our last trustees meeting on September 7th, I signed the contract with GW Tetro. The final archaeological site work is beginning this week, and we actually, ready for this, might see a shovel in the ground this year. So GW Tetro is checking with their subcontractor, and remember, the boring happens first.
Yeah.
If they think they have a window that will work for GW Tetro and for that subcontractor, we might actually see the boring happen this year. If not, we'll be first in the queue in the spring.
Nice.
So that's good news. And again, 92,000 under our authorized bond
Yep.
authority of 1.2 million.
Question. What was the time, I know we talked about it, what was the time frame start to finish for the project?
You mean for the drilling?
Well, from the time that we drilled to the time that,
It's months. I would have to look back at the scope of work.
I know, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess more curiosity, cause I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it's months, because they
Yeah.
were gonna start late summer and be buttoned
Right.
up by the winter.
Right.
So I think it depends if it's continuous months or if they got a break over the winter.
Yeah, I think Wayne seemed to think 6 to 9.
I was
It
gonna
just
say
kinda
6.
Stuck out in my head, but.
And if they do the drilling first and then maybe something next spring,
Yeah,
it would be 2 or 3 months here and 2 or 3 months there.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking.
Now, and the line is gonna be a backup, or is it gonna be a main, or is it gonna be the primary?
it's a redundant line that will turn into the primary, and we can stay redundant on the bridge until which time we replace the bridge, and then I think it's primary with no redundant.
Right.
Worry about that in 2029.
Exactly.
Let somebody else deal with that one. But keep in the back of your mind, I think 2 lines are a good idea.
Is my job in jeopardy? I thought I was gonna be here in 2029.
You are.
Oh.
He's just reminding you.
Oh, okay. All
I'm
right,
just
checking.
thinking 20 years.
Okay, all right.
You're not gonna be here in
Just
20
checking.
years, are you? No, I'm not.
There will be, I think you're probably hearing about this, there will be a meeting here in this room, a special select board meeting to discuss the proposed Swanton Rec Community Center. So they signed up, Diana confirming they did check with you on that?
Yeah, on
Okay.
the 26th.
So the 26th,
Right.
I think at 6 p.m.
Yes, 6 p.m.
Okay, so 6 p.m. and that will be, it's not a joint meeting, it's just it's a heads up.
Public forum.
Public
Yeah.
forum for the presentation. Of course, now they have the work that I helped in a limited manner with on the location. That's done. They have the location actually is essentially the same site but shifted a little bit. And they anticipate by the September 26th meeting getting that programmatic feasibility study, so the use of the facility, they plan on getting that back in time. So we'll see how that goes. They still believe that they are on pace for a March bond vote. Okay, let's just go to sections, and I'll try to hit these quickly. I think it's really important for everybody to kind of get a sense of what everybody is doing out there. So Public Works, I want to hit two primary areas. You know that we had the valve exercising folks come in for 4 days actually, for free. And they hit 82 of our valves. So approximately 1/3 of our valves. So in recent memory, I do not believe that they've ever been exercised. And of course, it's critically important to exercise your valves so that you know that they work effectively, so that when you do have a water break, you can segregate your lines and limit your impact. It's really conceptually quite simple. So we did approximately 1/4 to 1/3 of our valves. 10 have issues and will need to be replaced. And we're in the process of working on that. Probably only 1 or 2 will have to be replaced this year. The other benefit is you get a full written report, and we'll ask for this program to come back next year. The bigger ask is gonna be, as part of the budget for critical need next year, is our own valve exerciser. We should be doing half of our valves every single year. And it's time consuming, and it's an impact on Public Works, but not addressing these needs is not helpful for our system. This is something that we need to continue to do. So a valve exerciser is roughly $20,000, somewhere around there. So we'll put it in a future budget request and ask. And then on the heels of that, a couple of weeks later, the leak detection folks came in for 4 days. And they identified, they did about 50% of our water lines, roughly 7 leaks, ranging from minor leaks and old hydrants. I'll give you these notes, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. On Pine Street to the more significant one on Middle Road. So we'll address those in prioritized order. Same thing, they want to come back next week. Now, I personally spoke with that crew when they were done. Nothing but praise for the attention that we give to the leaks that we have. There are larger communities that they say wouldn't even respond, again, to a 2 million gallon a year leak. Not significant enough for them to worry about. So we're in a better place than some, but again, why treat 2 million gallons of water if you don't have to? So very, very powerful stuff, both of those. In addition to all of the other stuff, we completed the grant-funded stormwater project on Foundry Street. I think we already have been approved for additional funding next year for another stormwater project, and we'll get that every single year, anywhere between 11 and 15,000. It takes care of one little segment on one small road, but it's free, and it's stuff we would have to do anyway. So we're prioritizing that. Electric. During that last storm, while they finished installing the little demo that we did for you guys, the culvert liner at the hydro station. They got called out for multiple storms or multiple areas in the most recent storm, and then the usual. There's quite a bit of new work that they're doing and creating bids, and they have certainly been busy.
Was that wind damage primarily?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strong winds.
storm.
It was. We were pretty lucky, but it hit it hit here and it was, I don't know how many inches of rain we got right away, but it was significant.
I heard it was 2 to 2.5 in 15 minutes.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm having a crew at my home tomorrow.
because of water damage.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been that year, so water can be our friend as well. Hydro's having just a record year.
Which is awesome.
We got the warnings from VEPSA, ISO New England for peaking, reduce
Yeah.
so they wanted us to peak. Usually that's a drawdown, maximum drawdown, and several days, if not a week or two this time of year to refill. 24 hours. 24 hours we refilled completely.
Wow.
Pretty good.
We produced almost 5 meg today.
How much?
5
Five.
meg today. And I mean, it's like the time of year, so, annual plant shutdown is the week of September 18th, so several maintenance and inspection tasks to be done then. The internship is, Scott Mueller internship is ending at the end of this month. What a success for both us and for, young Dalton, the candidate who was selected.
Yeah, last spring.
He wants to go to lineman school and maybe be a lineman with us, but he loves the village environment and he's a worker by all accounts. So we would love, and we'll have additional conversations with Paul Nolan, but I think if we do that partnership again, I'd love, from my point of view, to do this thing every year. It's great for us, it's great for the candidate, it's great for MVU, for people to go through a real interview system like that, so that was good. Water department, so same thing really. They're doing a whole bunch of drawdown stuff to compensate. We had the water leak over in front of Swanton Lumber. That was $180,000, 180,000 gallon, not water, dollars, leak. So they had to compensate for that. The thing that we put in play that we tried is working out well with Avery doing maintenance and helping out at the water plant. Ideally, we'd have another person at the water plant. We'll talk more about that need in the future, but that would balance out 2 at the water, 2 at wastewater, a 4-person on-call rotation. That's probably right now, in addition to Public Works or apart from Public Works, where we have the greatest need, unmet need at this point. That's it for the conversation today. I'm just throwing it out there. It's a good way of saying maintenance wants their full-time person back, but there's still gonna be a need at water. So, we tried for free for 9 months. By the end of the year, I don't know that we're gonna be able to continue to meet the needs of both entities, with that current arrangement. So more to follow. Grants and projects, we talked about that. With the addition of Heidi, we really can just have her focus on grants and projects, and you can't say enough about Heidi, but it's the position, right? It's the capacity building and the position. It's no different than anywhere we look, whether we walk in the door or we look out front. I can't say enough about the team that we got and how everybody is just firing on all cylinders. Gas pumps, let's talk about those. So, we have the gas tank out back as well as a small diesel tank. We are in the process of properly placarding those, but there are several other things that we would need to do to meet LOSHA requirements. There's an easier solution. I think we're gonna recommend getting out of the gas business altogether. Bergers will continue to meet our needs for all things diesel, but we'll drive up there. Lynn and Dwayne, but primarily Lynn, have been researching with RL Valley to get mobile fleet cards to upgrade to where we need to, about $30,000 to $40,000 out back, and then still have the headache of having gas on site. So we went through this in the Vermont State Police. The best solution for gas is to have no gas on site. And the smaller pieces of equipment that need diesel are things like the trackless and the skid steer, and we can get those up to mobile, and we'll have a card for those. Cost neutral. We will not lose a penny on this transition. In fact, we'll save the upfront money. But the dollar for dollar per gallon is the same. So we're gonna save roughly $30,000 to $40,000 and lose a headache of having gas tanks.
Our biggest break is we don't pay any tax, right? On the gas.
You still get the break. I don't know the answer to that. I just know that at the end of the day, when you factor everything in, the cost that we're being provided for the regular gasoline here and at Mobile are the same, or very close. Do you have any more?
Just that we, keeping track of all the gas cards, getting all the guys' information every month, Trish is tracking them down. And then we have to also keep track of what the town uses, and I have to bill that.
Right.
So it's gonna eliminate a lot of that stuff.
Good.
Yeah, much easier, for
More of
sure.
a streamline.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Good.
And last, but certainly not least, do you remember the VEPSA Secure cybersecurity audit that said we should avoid having email addresses like the four of yours on our account? So congratulations, gentlemen, you have new email accounts. You can at your, let's make it a reasonable request from my point of view. If we can get you in at some point in coordinated training or independently, we will not fire them up, but Mark has your email address and your passwords, and he'll sit down with you. Can we just set a January 1st goal?
Absolutely.
If you wanna do it before that, great. Much more functionality, but they are literally gonna be Adam Paxman at Swanton.net, Chris Leach at Swanton.net, Eugene LeBombard at Swanton.net.
I'm surprised we didn't have them already in.
It's, they're protected in a manner that the cybersecurity team says, okay, you have Office 365, they're monitored, they're protected, they flag malware much better, phishing, that type of stuff. So, it's $6 a month.
Nothing.
Well, to protect us, I mean, it was a requirement, so we're, so more to follow on that. You'll get an email at some point, probably next week, where you can then sit down with Mark and take care of that, so. Other than that, I think we're good. I'm still having fun. I don't have
That's all
anything
matters.
else except, when we go to executive session.
Oh, I think we're gonna go there.
It's brief, but
Okay.
yes,
Me too.
it's gonna be brief.
There is, just for the yuck of it, anybody got any other business they want to bring up?
Not at this time.
No.
Maybe in 5 minutes.
Okay. Then we will go to an executive session to discuss personnel and real estate. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now in executive session to discuss personnel and real estate.